Cindy Olin here with Create Your Own Luck in Love. I help women to attract and keep lasting love and open up their hearts to receive their vision, their love vision, and how to create that. So I'm excited to be here with you guys today. This is a huge topic. It's huge. I get all kinds of questions about this, and I know that I used to struggle with this personally. Attachment, letting go of attachments, and what it made that mean. And that's why I'm going live about this today. And I'm going to break it down for you in showing you. I have a few processes that I personally work with my clients, and we do a lot of inner work to, like open up that heart state space to receive um, the kind of partnership that feels aligned to your body and soul. So, um, when I talk about attachment to the outcome, getting some little notification here. When I talk about attachment to the outcome, it's, um, if I'd be curious to know, have you ever had a really hard time letting go of an ex, or letting go of a, kind of idea of how you thought something should go, with a man, or with someone, and maybe it was hard for you because part of the story you might have been narrating to yourself is like, oh, it's so hard. I'm a unicorn, or it's really hard for me to meet someone that I feel that good connection with. If you've ever struggled with that, just I would invite you to be brave and just put, yes, that's me. I've struggled. You know, it's always good to just hear what's come up for you. And I've worked with women that have struggled with letting go of exes, in they don't date for years. And so if you have a desire to let go and shift this, um, and maybe you're struggling right now, just put, yeah, like the struggle is real, and put that in there. So put that in the comments so I can hear you and understand and support you even on a deeper level with the inner work. So um, you know a lot of times, if you've ever noticed, some people have an easier time letting go or moving on, or those women that get out of a relationship and just easily flow into another one. And there's certain reasons for that, and part of that is um, attachment things. We've all heard of attachment theories, and anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and that sort of thing. And this is definitely connected to that. So if you tend to more anxiously attach, or there's an anxious and avoidant side of you, this is perk your ears up. This is definitely for you. And what tends to happen, and the reason why we have a tough time with attachment, is it has to do with our identity, what we make it mean to have this attachment. And we have it attached to our happiness. And often, and where the core or the seed of where it is from, is that we're often, we become pattern from society, and also it comes from certain feelings that we felt as a child. So we're conditioned to be addicted to similar feelings that we felt as a child, and we tend to um, connect with partners that feel familiar, and they're not necessarily healthy for us. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but um, And we tend to want to recreate that, hence the attachment. And it's like this addictive feeling that we desire to create within the relationship. So, if you're in a place where you're finding yourself attached, to an ex, it's usually not because it's the person. It's, maybe the memories that you've created. And also there's this idea of what the relationship provides for your an identity around it. So it could be a way that you hold yourself. Like, if this person represents what your life could be like, and that attaches to something I talk about a lot, which is like a fantasy connection, right? So if so and these are all connected to this, like, addictive patterning that we tend to have as children. So in order to shift this, it's also shifting, um, it's shifting your attachment to that identity and doing some things. So I'm going to tell you about a process that you know, I've shown, and it's a little different. It's a hybrid of something that I typically teach, and a way of opening it up and understanding that is super freaking simple, you guys, to let go. Um, there's all kinds of processes I could go into, but for this video, my desire is to support you around letting go of the attachment. So first, what you want to do is connect to that feeling, connect to that attachment and that feeling, like, oh, I really, and this could even be, somebody that you've gone out with a couple times, and they seem to really have all the qualities that you're seeking, and, all the things, and they're not necessarily following up or showing up in a way that you desire, and that you want to let go, but it's really hard, right? And it, like I said, it could be the same thing in a relationship with someone that it may not be working out, or they're not really showing up in an aligned way to your vision, and it's just you just know it's not going to work out, or it's an ex, right? So, and part of the letting go is also letting go of the certain blueprint that we have of the idea of it needs to look a certain way. It's being attached to the outcome. So, and I can easily make it sound easier said than done, but here's the first step. It's getting connected to that feeling. Like, what is that feeling that I have around this connection? So get into that feeling and simply observe them. Don't judge them either way. So that's a challenge. A lot of times we'll have a certain feeling and we'll make ourselves wrong. If you've ever dated someone that you knew that it just wasn't going to go anywhere, and you have a vision for something different, and you're beating yourself up for dating them and staying around them instead of really looking at the beauty that the connection brought you and letting go. So anyway, so observe the feelings without judgment, just looking at them. And it's almost like you're watching them go past you, like you're watching a car drive past you. And then once you do that, then you start to look at letting go of that idea, right? So you've got to change the focus. Change the focus. What do I desire instead? Change the focus in your life. And okay, so you observe and then you look at yourself, let go. So when you observe without judgment, you let go of the attachment to your identity of it, your identity of the outcome. And then you come to a place of looking at yourself and going, I am perfect, whole, and complete the way I am. I am happy the way that I am. And then you start to take a different action, which is something I share a lot with my clients. Tell yourself, narrate a different story, and start to take action from that place. So you see yourself as perfect, whole, and complete. Start doing activities that foster that perfect, whole, and completeness within you. And that could be anything, things that, raise your endorphins. Could be hiking, working out, could be, you know, doing something that feels connective to you. It could be going out with some friends and having deep, great conversations with them that, that aren't connected to this memory of this person. And when you create more of that and you stop putting energy and thought towards the thing that you're trying to detach from, that means you're not talking about that person. You're not putting fuel into it. You've probably heard the saying, we're adding fuel to the fire. Well, this is the same thing. We're not adding fuel to that fire. You're adding fuel to your perfect, whole completeness of a human, and you're telling yourself a different story. You're saying, like, I am aligned. And you could even say, if you desire to bring in an amazing partner that's in aligned with your vision, like, oh yeah, I'm perfect, whole, and complete. And the man for me is, he desires a similar vision as me in my life, right? So the key is changing the focus of thinking that about that person as the key to your happiness and identity. And, from that place, creating action plans. Maybe you're dating without an expectation on the end, dating for just connecting with a new soul and, opening up your heart to curiosity of new people. And when you let go of the detachment, then the magic starts to happen. Truly, the magic starts to happen. And then you're then, it takes, and then you start to visualize yourself in that space, being happy, taking the action of being happy, doing those things, and letting go of the attachment of what it looks like, the attachment of the outcome. So it's kind of like, if, let's just say, you have a certain vision for the amount of money that you're creating in your life, and maybe you have a business, or maybe you've got a plan for that, and you're moving along your plan and you're doing it, and then something happens and there's a little wrench in your plan. And then, the wrench starts to create doubt that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to create this, financial goal that I have. And so, and this is common. I see this with women a lot when they're dating and they're going along and they think it's going great, it might be going great with the guy, and then he throws a wrench in, you know, true color, he starts to pull away, or he's not showing up. Um, start to come out, and he's not the guy that she thought he was. Then there's the thoughts that come in of, oh no, I'm not going to meet, this means, this equals, I'm not going to meet the person that I desire to be with. When in actuality, this just shows you, oh, okay, so there's a little wrench in this. My vision is still happening. It's not happening the way that I expected. And, this is where emotional triggers can come up, and there's, um, and that's where you get to observe it, let it go, and then go, okay, I trust this is still happening. This is evidence that my desire is still happening. And I'm committed to it happening. So it's, and I trust that it could happen in a way that I'm unexpected. It's unexpected. So I'm continuing to take the action towards it and detach from my idea of the outcome. But part of this is knowing what your vision is, knowing what your creation is, and raising the vibrational state too. So when we get into that fear or doubt place, it's easy to go down that, that old thought process of, you know, it's like I said, that resistance starts to happen. Oh, it's not happening the way that I want. So when the resistance starts to happen, we as humans get, it's like addiction to negative feelings, which can be a comfort because maybe that was what we're used to feeling. And then we're used to crawling out of that somehow, rather than learning how to let go and create more ease and flow. And there's some heart opening work too that goes along with this inner work, and learning, love based communication with yourself and others, and that gentleness onto others. And when you raise up from the vibration, from that vibrational space of negativity into courage, love, neutrality, then everything starts to change. It's like the pixels in the pictures start to change. And there's just this heart opening that connects. So if this is aligning with you and you want the notes or the downloads of how to do this and your next step, just send me a direct message saying next step. And I will be more than happy to engage with you and support you on that next step. Here's to you and letting go and letting go and letting love in and really creating your own luck and love. I love you guys. I will see you soon. Mwah.